This is the Steve Gruber Show.
Yeah, it sure is. Fighting for you for the Foxhole of Freedom every single day, kicking off another brand new hour. Look, this country isn't going to save itself, not without your help and mine, so let's get to it. Three big things this hour. Number one, the public execution of Charlie Kirk now being investigated as a hate crime, according to the prosecutors who are slowly putting together the case against the 22-year-old alleged assassin. Number two, free speech being attacked in Canada and the United Nations, who are ever more bold about silencing anyone they simply don't agree with. People like you, they call free speech dangerous. And number three, it is now day 41? Day 41, I guess we are here, the government shutdown. Rand Paul was going to slow things down. He wanted some amendments about intoxicating hemp products being sold at gas stations and convenience stores, but seemed to have gotten around that last night. Meanwhile, the left is absolutely melting down. I mean, the left is absolutely apoplectic at the 8 Democrat senators who said, look, we're joining the Republicans. We're going to get this thing stopped. Of course, they did that in the wee hours of Sunday into Monday to bring an end to the shutdown. So the latest is the funding package has been completed in the Senate, happened early this morning. It heads to the House after those same 8 Democrats remained in solidarity with their Republican counterparts. Rand Paul notwithstanding, doesn't matter. It moves forward. It moves forward. And the circular firing squad is assembled. Democrats blaming those 8 defectors, people like Senator Jeanne Shaheen, for destroying health care, they claim. Here she is defending herself.
You say you're getting a guaranteed vote by a guaranteed date on a bill that, as you said, the Democrats will be writing, and it will not be Republicans who will write it with regard to health care subsidies. If it needs 60 votes, Senator, what are the chances that this subsidy lives through the new year then? If you have to get 60 votes, the chances are what that this survives the new year?
Well, I think finally, because of the shutdown fight, we've had a number of Republicans who have figured out that this is an issue for them. This is not a red state issue or a blue state issue. It's an issue about making sure that people can afford their health insurance. And so we've heard from a number of our colleagues on the other side of the aisle that they're willing to come to the table, they're willing to work with us once the government's open to get this done. We've heard the same thing from the White House. So now we'll see. We'll see if they are really going to work with us to make sure that Americans can afford their health insurance.
Yeah. I really like the idea put forth by Donald Trump. It's worth exploring, to say the least, when he says, I will send, or we should send, the money directly to the American people for health savings accounts. Can't be used for anything else, okay? Prescription medications, doctor's visits, insurance premiums. My first reaction is that would force the insurance companies to negotiate with you, to compete against each other, to open up the free market and bring down premiums, to bring down costs, to help the American people. We'll see where that conversation goes, but I think it's one well worth having. It's certainly something that has not been proposed, not any time that I remember, so that's important. Meanwhile, Senator Angus King, he calls himself an independent from Maine. He caucuses with the Democrats, almost always votes with Democrats, but this time crossed the aisle to join the Republicans in bringing an end to the government shutdown. He says they tried to beat President Trump, and they couldn't. Here's what he said.
Well, Joe, you have to go back to what the strategy was at the beginning of the shutdown. There were 2 goals, both of which I support. One was standing up to Donald Trump. The other was getting some resolution on the ACA premium tax credit issue. The problem was the shutdown wasn't accomplishing either goals, and there was practically, well, there was 0 likelihood that it was going to. In terms of standing up to Donald Trump, the shutdown actually gave him more power, Exhibit A being what he's done with SNAP and SNAP benefits across the country. Oh, by the way, Joe, you're going to love this. Guess who's getting paid during the shutdown? Not the park rangers or air traffic controllers, the ICE agents. Under special law, under that big, awful bill that they passed last summer, the ICE agents are being paid. Nobody else is. So standing up to Donald Trump didn't work. It actually gave him more power.
Going against Donald Trump didn't work. It gave him more power. But you know who else got paid? You did, Angus. All the senators got paid. The members of Congress got paid. But you, Angus, you voted 14 times not to pay TSA, air traffic controllers, the military. Now they're like, well, you know, ICE agents are getting paid. Well, yeah, okay. Meanwhile, AOC has in effect declared her candidacy for the U.S. Senate seat in New York, and the blowback of all of this, she's really angry, thinks she can win that Senate seat from Chuck Schumer, and maybe she can. I think we're going to find out. Here she is.
I think there is a deep sense of outrage and betrayal. And this is not just about progressive Democrats. This is across the board, the entire party. Yeah. There are members of Congress who have won Trump-held districts in some of the most difficult territory in the United States, who walked the plank and took innumerable risks in order to defend the American people, in order to defend Social Security, Medicaid, and Medicare, just to see Senate Democrats even consider acquiescing to Elon Musk. I think it is a huge slap in the face, and I think that there's a wide sense of betrayal if things proceed as currently planned.
How will House Democrats and Senate Democrats work together now if there is such a sense of betrayal?
I think that creates a real challenge.
Yeah, it creates a real challenge, and she's going to create a real challenge for Chuck Schumer in the race for that U.S. Senate seat he's held for 4 terms for a while, anyway, whatever it's been. Democrats all over social media, I mean, they've got their pitchforks sharpened. They want Chuck Schumer gone. They're tired of it. They say he has failed time and again. And by the way, about that health care, it was mentioned again yesterday in the Oval Office. President Trump saying it's time to send health care dollars to the American people. Listen.
I hope that we're going to be able to have a health care where Lindsay and I were discussing it, Jim and I were discussing it, and Katie, we discussed it. We want a health care system where we pay the money to the people instead of the insurance companies. And I tell you, we're going to be working on that very hard over the next short period of time, where the people get the money. We're talking about trillions and trillions of dollars where the people get the money. Yes, please.
Yeah, there you go. Trillions and trillions of dollars. And again, as I hear that, I'm like, I think that's a decent idea. Now, you can't just send money to people because all sorts of people would be irresponsible. Oh, here's a check for $5,000 or whatever it is. And they'd wake up, a month later and say, well, I didn't buy health insurance. So they would have to go into qualified HSA accounts. I guess similar to a Social Security account, all right? And that money would go in, and you could use it to buy insurance premiums or pay for doctor's visits or pay for prescription drugs, only medical-related qualified expenses. With insurance companies setting record profits every single day, maybe it's time for a different approach. Maybe it's time to put the people in charge of their own health care. Not a bad idea, right? Could be like it is on an EBT card. Here's my health card. Boom. Here's my doctor's visit. Here's my insurance premium. Here's my new path forward. When we come back, a big decision from the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals saying, no, you don't have to use pronouns. It doesn't matter what they think. We'll talk about it after this.